Ayo, and in today's tutorial, it's going to be a continuation of the course POL221, and hopefully, all right, we should be concluding the course today, and we're very optimistic. The network will have let us have a way. Okay, on the comment section, I have Miss Regina says good evening. Miss Regina, it's good to have you on board, and I have Mr. Joe says good evening, sir. It's good to have you all on board. If you're here to smash the like button, do well to do that. And with this being said, let's hop straight into today's class. Okay, let me switch this off. So we have POL221. It's going to be a long class, so please I expect you to have your writing materials as we'll be taking on points. All right, taking certain points. Okay, so we have let's take a bearing from evolution of Nigerian federalism. All right, let's take a bearing from there. Evolution of Nigerian federalism. Okay, so we have the evolution of Nigerian federalism. Now, before the constitution, all right, was promulgated into law, all right, Sir John Macpherson presented its drafts and allowed Nigerians to deliberate at the conference, which took place at every strata, every level or class to which people are assigned, every strata. Now, this led to John Macpherson Constitution of 1951. Are we good? John Constitution of 1951. Okay, so just a moment. Now, this constitution became, now, John, let's speak about John himself. John Macpherson became the new governor of Nigeria after Sir Richard, all right, and he made adequate arrangements not to repeat the mistake that led to the opposition, all right, and criticism that removed the Richard Constitution. Let's not forget, Richard Constitution was before his constitution, and it was the one that took over Richard himself. Okay, so we have that as that. Now, in March 1947, a selected committee of the Legislative Council was set up to examine problems that may likely face the introduction of this constitution, the 1951 Macpherson Constitution. All right, so we have that's March 1914. That's 1949. March 1949. All right, Legislative Council. All right, a Legislative Council was made to examine the problem that might likely face the new constitution. Now let's talk about some features of the Macpherson Constitution. Now the Macpherson Constitution, all right, depends solely on a central legislature and a central executive. All right. Central legislature and central executive were, all right, established for the country. All right. Each region had a legislature, lawmaking body, legislature, and an executive council. All right, central leg and central executive. Central Executive Council. So we have that as that. So now let's talk about some of the merits. All right, the feature of the feature of the Constitution 1951. All right, is that it has central legislature and central executive council. All right, now let's also add this. He also appointed for each region 4 ministers. All right, he appointed 4 ministers for each region. Now it says here, the center of the House of Representatives, which is unicameral, had a governor as president. All right, 6 official members and 136 elected from regional houses. The House of Representative, House of Rep, a president, all right, 6 officials and 136 regional members. All right, House of Representatives as a governor, which is also the president, 6 officials and 136 regional officials. Now let's talk about the merits. Now, one of the merits of this constitution is that the constitution encouraged a wider representation of each region, all right, in the House of Representatives. Wider participation in each region of the House of Representatives. All right, wider participation in each region of the House of Representatives. All right, widespread of consultation. All right, before the drafting of the constitution, there was a widespread of consultation. All right, meaning that citizens had a say in the drafting of this constitution. Citizens had a say in the drafting of the constitution. All right, it laid the framework for true federalism. All right, laid the framework. You can imagine the constitution that consulted with the people. Yes, that's a good role model for federalism, right? Basically, it laid framework for federalism. All right, widespread consultation. This constitution introduced what we call House of Representatives. All right, introduced. That's 4. This constitution introduced House of Representative. So those are the merits of, all right. Definitely, no matter how seemingly good this constitution seems, it still has its own criticism. All right. So let's take a look at some of the criticism. All right. Now, one of the criticism here says that it failed to provide a responsible government at the center. All right, it failed to provide a responsible government at the center, and it also encouraged indirect election of legislators, all right, at national and regional level, and the veto power of the governor still remained. This constitution gave governors veto power. So we have that as that. So now let's take something on the London Conference of 1953. London Conference of 1953. Okay, so we have London Conference, all right, of 1953. The Constitutional Conference was held, all right. London Conference was actually initiated by, okay, I think the network is a bit stable now. Now, this conference held in London was basically for the drafting of constitution. All right. Now, this constitutional conference was held in London under the chairmanship of Oliver Littleton. All right. Constitutional Conference. Constitutional Conference. All right. Constitutional Conference, and it was held in London under the chairmanship of Oliver Littleton. Oliver, all right, T-L, all right, O-N, Oliver Littleton. Then the Secretary, all right, of State of the Colonies between July 30 and August 20, all right, 22, 1953. Then Oliver Littleton was the Secretary of the State for Colonies. All right. Let me highlight that so people in the private class can get it clearly. All right. So we have that as that. So we also have Lagos Conference of 1957. All right, we have Lagos Conference of 1954, I mean. This was follow-up of London Constitutional Conference to finish the unfinished matters, and was also to consider the advice of Sir Louis Cheek, the fiscal commissioner appointed by London Conference. All right. So London, basically, this Lagos Conference is to finish the unfinished business in the London Conference. All right. So one of the things there is that Lagos Conference, all right, took the advice of Sir Louis Cheek, all right, fiscal. I think we should take that down, not this Lagos Conference per se, but don't cancel it in your notes. You don't have to cancel it, but just note this point. So, okay, let's look at the name again. The name says, all right, Cheek. That's the fiscal commissioner. Fiscal commissioner. All right. Fiscal commissioner appointed at London Conference. The fiscal commissioner appointed at London Conference. So we have that as that. Okay. Now let's talk about federalism. Okay, so take it up from federalism. And so basically, what is federalism, or a federal system of governments? Okay, now this is a political system whereby a group of autonomous states, all right, come together with a central body and agree to surrender part of their sovereignty to the central authority in the area of external affairs and other domestic matters of common interest. All right, now look at the point. A political system whereby a group of autonomous states, a POL system whereby a group of autonomous, right, a group of what? Autonomous states, all right, form an association, all right, form an association. Why did they form this association? All right, form association with a central body, there's a central body, all right, and every of these states agrees to surrender not all, part of what? Part of their sovereignty, okay, to the central authority in the area of external affairs and domestic matters. Basically, submitting part of their sovereignty to the what? Central body. All right, to the central. Okay, now when we talk about this, we also have to consider something called federation. And here it is a union where the constitution powers are divided between two or more levels of governments. Federation. All right. Union where, okay, a union where the constitutional powers are divided. Powers are divided. Constitutional powers are divided amongst or between two or more levels of government. Between two or more levels of government, and where citizens are subjected to different levels of authority. So we have that as that. There's also something called a confederation. All right. Confederation or confederation. All right. Anyway, you want to put that. Now it's also a union of sovereign states, but with a loose, all right, center. All right, a union of sovereign state, all right, state, but with a loose center, all right, because the federal units retain their sovereignty in its original form, all right. Why a loose center? Because federal unit maintains their sovereignty in its original state. So that's why the center is loosed. So we have that as that. Now let's continue. Now, under federation, the federating unit sustains the federal authority, sustain the central authority, and membership could be withdrawn at will, free entry and free exits. All right. So example of confederation, let's take for example, we have Switzerland and quasi-governments such as Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, African Union, European Union, Commonwealth Nation, United Nations. So we have that as that. Although you need to note that in a union of states like a federalism, there is no constitutional division of power. All right, there are no constitutional division of power between center, all right, and the component unit of the confederation. So let's also quickly talk about a unitary state. When we say unitary state, it is one which there is a domineering center authority serving as the sole source of authority to the territory units. All governing authorities within the state are created, all right, they have their own power, all right, their power is defined and their form of administrative structure determined by the central government. I think we should take that down. Okay. Excuse me. All right. We have a domineering central authority. All right. A domineering central authority. A domineering central authority serving as the sole, all right, source of authority to other territorial units. Serving as the sole, sole source of authority to order, all right, to order territorial units. Territorial units. Excuse me. So we have that as that under the unitary state. Now let's continue. So we have that as that. Now let's talk about evolution of Nigerian federalism. Evo of Niger Fed. All right, evolution of Nigerian federalism. Now Nigeria is a federal state forged by the British colonial administration. All right, Nigeria is a federal state by the British colonial, all right, administration. So now the federal constitutional development begin with Sir Otto Richard Constitution. All right. All right. Forged by the constitutional development began federal constitutional development, FCD. Federal constitutional development began, all right, began with what we call Sir Richard's Constitution of 1946. All right, Sir Richard Constitution, all right, of 1946. All right. Now we have that as that. They integrated and had delegates in a central legislature under Richard's Constitution. All right. Now, the evolution of Nigerian federalism. All right. Speaking of which, as we have said, these are foreigners. All right, trying to forge, all right, the federalism of Nigeria, and basically it witnessed a lot of puzzles. Okay. And there were divisions, there were disagreements and everything. And as we have here, all right, the only time when Nigeria was ruled as one country was between 1946 and 1951. Okay, when we had the North integrated and delegates, all right, in the central legislative under the Richard Constitution. All right, so one of the credits of Richard Constitution is that he brought different part of Nigeria together. All right. So now, an early official reference by colonial officials to the idea of federalism in Nigeria was made in 1928 at an executive council meeting. All right. So that was the earlier official conference. So that's one of the earliest official. All right. One of the earliest official reference by colonial officials, all right, to the idea of federalism is in Nigeria was made. Earliest official reference, okay, reference about was in 1928 in an executive council meeting. 1928 in an executive council meeting. Okay. Now, Sir Donald Bodillon, all right, became governor of Nigeria from 1935 to 43, and it divided the country into 3 administrative units. All right, that's Sir Donald. Sir Donald, all right, Bordilon, all right, Sir Ronald Bordilon, right, then Governor of Nigeria, GON, all right, from 1935 to 43. 1935 to 43, he divided Nigeria into 3, all right, north, all right, east and west. Divided Nigeria into 3 administrative units, all right, east and west. So we have that as that. So now let's continue. Okay, about that, we have that as that. So now let's quickly talk about political participation, all right, in the First Republic. Now, but before we do that, let's note this, that the first practical step ever to be taken towards making federalism, all right, a constitutional matter was that of Sir Otto Richard, which later became Lord Milverton. All right, the first attempt was in 1946. All right, that was in 1946. So now let's take this. Political parties in the First Republic. All right. So permit me to raise the board so we can take proper note on that. Okay, so we have poll parties in the First Republic. So we have basically 3 major political parties that dominated Nigeria First Republic. 3 major political parties. 3 major political parties dominated Nigeria First Republic. All right, we have Action Group, AG, Action Group. All right, we also have NPC, Northern People Congress, NPC, Northern People's Congress, and finally we have NCNC. Here we have National Council of Nigerian, all right, National Council of Nigerian Citizens. Of Nigerian citizens. All right, these are the 3 major political parties, all right, that dominated the First Republic. All right, and so now let's talk about. Okay, now let's talk about the first party, AG, This party, which was formed in 1951, it was formed in 1951, drew most of its members from what we call Egbe Omo Odudua. I believe if you are Yoruba, if you are by tribe, you should understand what it means by Egbe Omo Odudua. All right, a Yoruba social cultural group. All right, it's a Yoruba social cultural group and a splinter group of the Nigerian youth movement. All right, so AG got its member from Egbe Omo Odudua and some from Nigerian youth movement. All right, this party was led by Chief Obafemi Awolowo. All right, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Chief OA Obafemi Awolowo. All right, and we have that as that. So we have some of the dignitaries or some of the some roles were given out for the function of the party, and we have the likes of the president. All right, the president, after the launching of the parties, some certain rules has to be given out. We have the likes of the president, who happens to be the Chief Obafemi Awolowo. We have the vice president as Dr. J. Adoheti. All right, so in the West, that's the vice president in the West, there's the vice president in the East, and the vice president in the North. So for the West, it was Dr. J.D., all right, Adohati. All these are in the keynote, so don't need to panic. All right, we have in the East, we have Uwechi, Dr. E.O. Uwechi. Forgive my pronunciation. So we have in the North, we have Sule Maito, Alaji Sule Maito. So we have that as that. And we have the deputy leader as Chief Akintowa K. So that's for the AG, all right, action group. So we have NPC, Northern People's Congress, all right. Basically, Northern People's Congress wasn't the birth name. It was known as Jimaya Montani Arewa, all right, which is formed by the Northern educated elites, all right, in 1940s. All right, 1940s. Okay, so we have that as that. And we have the president of this party as Sir Amadu Bello. All right, Sir Amadu Bello as the president. Okay, so we have the vice president as Abubakar Tafa Balewa, and we have vice president, second vice president. There are two vice presidents in this party. We have first as Abubakar Tafa Balewa, and second as Muhammadu Muhammadu Ribadu as the second vice president. So we have that as that. So we have the NCNC, National Council of Nigerian Citizens. Basically, that isn't the birth name of this party too. It was, all right. It was first regarded as the National Council of Nigeria and Cameroons. All right, it was named National Council of Nigeria and Cameroons before it later changed its name to National Council, all right, of Nigerian Citizens. And basically, this party would have been, all right, could have been in alliance with NNDP, all right, but basically things didn't go down well. So we have that as that. Now this party, all right, is jointly formed. Now this party basically is being the only nationally oriented party. All right, this NCNC, as being the only nationally oriented party in the post-independent Nigeria. The reason why this party was formed is because the the set of people that created this party had nationalism in mind. Unlike AG, unlike NPC, NCNC, they had nationality in mind. This was during the post-independent Nigerian era. All right, post. All right, we are saying after. That's post. So now, this party was jointly formed in 1945. 1945 by Albert Macaulay and Dr. Nnamdi Azikwe, all right, Dr. Zik, under the National Council of, that's NCNC, all right. So it was um, jointly formed all right, by Albert Macaulay and Dr. Nnamdi Azikwe, Dr. Zik, let me just write Dr. Zik. Okay, and when it was jointly formed, then it was not National Council of Nigerian Citizens. No, it was now Nigerian and Cameroon. All right, National Council of Nigerian and Cameroon Citizens. All right, that was when Cameroons were exercised. All right, in Nigeria. So we have that is that. So now, with this being said, let's proceed into the background of, all right, military intervention, all right, which is military, in Nigeria. Okay, now the first military coup took place in Nigeria, all right, was on January 1st, 1966. First military coup, all right, that took place in Nigeria was January 15, 1966. Okay, that's the first coup. Now, when the 5 military officers in the rank of majors, all right, 5 military officers, all right, in the rank of majors, all right, officers in the rank of majors, all right, these 5 military officers in the rank of majors, led by Major Nzuogu Kaduna, all right, led by Major, all right, led by Major, I think I need to switch the marker, led by excuse me, Major, all right, Nzeogu Kaduna, led by Major Nzeogu Kaduna, all right. They announced them take over the civilian government, all right. The civilian government in power then was the government of Sir Abubakar, the civilian government taking over was the government of Sir Abubakar. Sir Abubakar. All right. Tafa Balewa. Tafawa Balewa. All right, so we have that as that. Okay, now Major General Johnson Agun Ironsi was made the head of state. All right, Major General Johnson Agunyi Ironsi was made the head of Federal Military Government of Nigeria. He served for 6 months before he was overthrown and assassinated in 1966. All right. So we have that as that. Now, the coup of 1966, the young military, all right, officers claimed that um, they have to take over the government because they need to put an end to gangsterism and disorder, corruption, and nepotism. And you know, when we say nepotism, it's what that is common even up till now. All right, people in power only tend to favor their relative, their friends, or people that they know. All right, and just very few appointed, members that they have no that they don't really know much about them. Very few. All right, so they have a point at that. At to some extent, they have a point, but was that really the solution to the problem, to the corruption? Basically, obviously, no. So we have that as that. Now, Aguiyi Rossi was succeeded by, after this another coup happened, and Aguiyi Rossi was succeeded by General Yakubu Gowon, who established a supreme military council. All right, Gowon held power. Permit me to raise this. Okay. Okay. Aguiyi Rossi was succeeded by General Yakubu Gowon, and Yakubu Gowon established a supreme military council. Now, Gowon held power until July 1975, when he was overthrown in a bloodless coup. All right. Held power till July 1975. All right. In a bloodless, nobody was killed. All right, in a bloodless coup. So we have that as that. Now, Brigadier Lieutenant General Murtala Mohammed succeeded Gowon. All right, Murtala Mohammed. All right, Murtala Muhammad succeeded Gowon months later in February 1976. In Feb 1976. All right. I'm not sure that's up to a year. Succeeded Gowon in February 1976. Okay, so Muhammad was assassinated. Okay, so Murtala Muhammad was assassinated by Bukar Saka Dimka and others in a violent coup attempt. Alright, that means it wasn't even successful. So the plotter did not kill Olusegun Obasanjo, who then succeeded Muhammad as head of state. Alright, so Olusegun Obasanjo succeeded Muhammad as the head of state. Alright, but the coup attempt by Dimka wasn't successful. So, but they did not kill Olusegun Obasanjo. Alright, so the Supreme Military Council formally dissolved when Obasanjo handed power to the elected. Alright, Supreme Military Council was formally dissolved when Obasanjo handed power to the elected Shehu Shagari. Alright, so Shehu Shagari was elected. Alright, dissolved. Shehu Shagari dissolved Supreme Military Council. Alright, ending the military regime and establishing a Nigerian, alright, Second Republic. Now, the Second Republic was overthrown in 1983. Alright, overthrown in 1983. Alright, in 1983, Nigerian coup d'etat. Alright, and succeeded Muhammad Buhari, who was established as new Supreme Military Council of Nigeria and Head of State and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Alright, so we have Buhari ruled for 2 years until 1958, Nigerian coup, when he was overthrown by General Ibrahim Babangida. Alright, so we have that as that. And General Babangida promised a return of democracy. Alright, he promised a return, that he would hand over government back to a civilian government. Alright, but he ruled Nigeria for 8 years when he attempted handed power, alright, to interim head of state Ernest Shonekan in 1993. Now, in 1993, General Sani Abacha overthrew the interim national government and appointed himself chairman of the Provisional Ruling Council of Nigeria. You can imagine that. So in 1993, okay, now on October 4, 1975, the head of state, alright, Murtala Muhammad, okay, appointed committee of 50 wise men charged with the responsibility of drafting a constitution to guide, alright, government in his republic. Alright, so we have, that's October 4, 1975. Head of state, Brigadier Murtala Muhammad. Head of state, alright, Brigadier Murtala Muhammad. Muhammad, alright, he appointed, alright, 50 wise men. 50 wise men, although one left, and that was Chief Obafemi Awolowo. He declined his appointment. He said he was not consulted before he was appointed, so he declined. Okay, so we have that as that. So let's quickly talk about some abbreviations. Okay, so we have N NPN, we have NPP, we have GNPP, we have PRP. All right, now NPN, National Party of Nigeria. For NPN, National Party of Nigeria, we have NPP, Nigerian People's Party, Nigerian People's Party. All right, we have GNPP, that is Great Nigerian People Party, and we have PRP, People's Redemption Party. So we have those abbreviations, and we have the 1979 general election. All right, all political parties by January 1979 have started traversing every nook and cranny. All right. General election. All right, and we have that as that. And lastly, we have the theories of military intervention. And here we have according to intervention. Now we have according to international conspiracy theory. All right, international theory, international conspiracy theory. Military intervention is politics is usually engineered by foreign power, all right, or capital whose interests have been hidden by existing regime, all right, usually influenced by foreign powers or retaliation, all right, for military personnel, all right. So we have that as that, and on this note, we'll be calling a wrap with the course. Okay, it's been a very interesting one, and basically, you know, unfortunately, the material of the course for this course is very, very unfortunately designed somehow. All right, so it takes a lot of effort to make a note out of this for tutorials, and I believe you've been able to get a thing or two in the course of this tutorial. All right, so thank you very much, everyone. Please let's do how to respond to the notes as expected and as usual. All right, please take a picture of your note and send it to the private class. Okay, so thank you very much, Ms. Regina. Thank you very much, Mr. Joe. And I think our next class will be taking some other course. So the next time we're having this course should be on Telegram class for discussion. All right. So thank you very much, everyone, once again. And I look forward to seeing you all in subsequent tutorials. Have a wonderful evening.